What's up guys, my name is Riley, aka R3IXY, and welcome to the first episode of my new series, Seeing Sound Design, the show where I take you on a journey to learn sound design techniques through the use of visuals. It's not like other tutorials, I promise I won't just be turning knobs for 15 minutes, I'm trying to teach people concepts in a way that hasn't really been done before for sound design. So give the series a chance, and let's have some fun. Barring hearing impairments, every moment of your waking life you have experienced sound. It is quite literally all around you. And even though almost all of us learned about sound in grade school, a refresher is really good to have when you're getting into sound design. Sound is what happens when vibrations move the air around us, and while we can't see sound with our eyes, we can see something similar. If someone were to drop a pebble into a lake, you would see ripples of water going away from where the pebble first made contact. When the pebble hits the water, it displaces that water around the pebble, which creates pressure on the surrounding water. Pressure naturally evens out, so the pressure from that tiny pebble will spread out through the lake until the pressure in the lake is evenly spread again. Sound is exactly the same concept, but with air instead of water. Imagine that a person standing in the middle of a large room claps their hands. When the person's hands meet, they vibrate the surrounding air, creating pressure which goes through the room until it evens out. These pressure differences moving through the air are called waves, and have an amplitude, frequency, and a wavelength. Sound waves are simply waves that we can hear when they vibrate our eardrums. When people think about sound waves, they usually think of something like this. Now, this isn't entirely wrong, but it's not really what sound looks like. These sound waves actually describe pressure differences in the air made by a sound. Sound really looks more like this. Vibrations create higher and lower pressure areas of air particles, and that's all sound is. When we move from the real world into the digital world, the way sound works changes a little bit. The real world is what we call analog when it comes to sound. Sound waves are continuous and infinitely divisible into the parts that make up the sound wave, and this continuous signal can't be emulated by computers. Computers are based on bits, individual signals of electricity that get interpreted as high voltage or low voltage by our computers, which get represented as 1 or 0. This system is called binary, and everything our computers do relies on binary digits. This is where we get the word digital. Binary numbers are not continuous or infinitely divisible because they're composed of discrete, individual bits, and it follows that digital sound is also not continuous. Every piece of digital audio that exists has a sampling rate. When you record audio into a microphone at a sampling rate of 48 kHz, your computer records a single point of audio data 48,000 times every second. Microphones are similar to our ears and have a part that vibrates in reaction to sound in the real world. The audio data that our computers receive from microphones is just the location of that vibrating part every so often based on the sampling rate. Speakers work in the opposite way, turning digital sound into real-life sound. The sampling rate of a piece of digital audio determines how often your computer tells the speaker to move its cone to a new position. While speakers can't perfectly recreate real sound because they're digital devices, the difference between a real sound and the same sound being played on a speaker is practically nothing. Just a quick additional note on speakers, the size of a speaker's cone can significantly limit what sounds it can accurately produce. Very low frequency sound waves displace a lot of air, which means speakers like the ones we find on our phones and laptops can't produce those frequencies. If you're serious about sound design or music production, get studio monitors or at least a pair of studio headphones that go down to about 35 Hz, or you likely won't be getting an accurate sound from the bass frequencies. The same goes for bass boosted headphones. If you want to hear sounds you're making accurately, don't use any bass boost features. I know my setup is a little overkill, but I have a pair of 6-inch JBL studio monitors, and getting them literally changed music production for me because I could hear frequencies that my other speakers couldn't produce. I know this episode sort of just served as an introduction to the series, but in the next episode, we'll be getting into some actual sound design using the building blocks introduced in this episode. If you're wondering whether or not you should put time into learning sound design, here's why I think you should. Even if you don't produce music, you probably consume audio content almost every day from platforms like Spotify. Even outside of the music world, audio makes up a huge part of many different kinds of media. Learning the processes and techniques used by professionals can be really interesting, and if you ever decide to make any content, you'll at least know how to make it sound nice. If you make electronic music, sound design is how producers get their unique individual sound. Sound design is the reason you can tell Flume and Deadmau5 and Madeon apart from one another. Learning sound design has benefits for everyone, and I personally think it's one of the most useful things to know, which is why I'm making this series. If you made it this far into the video, you are a baller, and I know some of you are wondering, who is this person and why is he qualified to teach me sound design? And to answer that, I'm going to tell you a story. When I was 12 years old, I discovered electronic music for the first time. The year was 2011, so I was exposed to songs like Levels by Avicii, Bangarang by Skrillex, Ghosts and Stuff by Deadmau5, and after listening to all of these just immaculately produced songs, I went home and I told myself, I can do that, that's easy, and I immediately pirated FL Studio 10 on my family's Windows XP computer. And I was very wrong because it was not easy in the slightest. I've been making music for almost 10 years now, and it's still not easy all the time. But I have collected 10 years of knowledge about sound and sound design and how to use sound design in music, and I'm hoping that I can utilize that knowledge to teach other people concepts and techniques in sound design and make their journeys a little easier than mine was. And that is the purpose of this series. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe because it helps with the algorithm, and that gets this series to more people, and more people knowing sound design is a freaking good thing. Comment with what you want me to cover next, and I'll see what I can do. I will see you guys in the next video.